But going back to the interior trim, so we touched on doors. Another area that I have found to be a real problem is you have your big, and I'm just picking on the box stores, but it's any supplier that is trying to compete for the big production home builders, because the big production home builders, if you've ever sat in their meetings, they're a bunch of accountants. They're calculating how much can we save per house on interior trim, for an example, and then they multiply that by the thousands of homes that they're building, and that helps their bottom line. David Bauer Custom Homes is different. We design based on the individual, and if we're saving a dime, that dime, the whole dime, goes right to the bottom line and is realized by the homeowner, not David Bauer Custom Homes. If we spend a dime, that dime drops to the bottom line, and we're spending that customer's dime. Mm-hmm. So going back to the interior trim, the difference in cost and product for painted, base, case, crown, the different moldings in a home. So we're not comparing stained to painted, but what are the options, and why do you sell what you sell in the area of interior trim?
The majority of our interior trim we purchase from Cutter Woodworking. We deal with them on interior trim, on interior and exterior doors, on stair parts. We're a huge portion of their business, and they're a huge portion of what we do. So we carry a huge assortment of casing, crown, baseboards. Try to figure out what's popular. Contemporary's in right now. We bring in a bunch of new contemporary trim. We've got a lot of historically accurate ones that are from the Cincinnati market. But what we like about them is, on top of the 40 or 50 different interior trims that we stock, they've got a catalog of probably 2,000 or 3,000 moldings that they've ran in the past, and we can order at any time, getting 2 to 4 week lead time. We can get a David Bauer custom baseboard or interior casing that is your trim. We can carry that for you. But we really like dealing with Cutter Woodworking. As I mentioned, we do a lot of business with them. So when we have an issue, they're quick to take care of it. They come here multiple times a week. And we've just got a great relationship with them.
And I think any of the prime products, if we ordered a prime product from Cutter, it's prime poplar. We still have profiles that are 20 and 30 years old, the colonial casings and bases and things like that are still in demand, but we can source those in pine because that's what was used 20 or 30 years ago. We can still source those in pine from a different vendor, but we have to carry those because of the remodeling side of our business, where we are going into a lot of homes and we need to have 20 sticks of an old colonial casing profile, which then would be pine, it would be primed. But anything that we run out of Cutter, if it's primed, it is going to be poplar unless we specify. I mean, we can have 20 different species of woods, any molding made in 20 different species, but if we ordered a prime poplar, it is going to most likely be finger jointed and it will be primed. Or we can get a raw finger jointed product. And some people say, well, why would you get a raw finger jointed product over a prime finger jointed product? So the person that's going to the raw finger joint would be somebody that's coming out of clear, that they know they're going to paint. They want the stability of raw finger joint, but they want to use their primers on it. Their painter wants to use his own primers. He wants to have from the wood up. He doesn't want to go over anybody's primer. And that carries over to one by stock. Cutter runs all their own one by stock, finger jointed, clear poplar. So their finger jointed one by stock is all poplar. And then it's run through their priming process. So they can, if they have a problem in their priming process, they can stop it and take care of it, adjust it, and do what they need to. And they're, that company's 2 hours away from us as far as getting inventory. We've run down there to grab parts and pieces for customers. They've made special deliveries for us. We do get 2 deliveries from them a week, which usually works out in a good time frame for ordering because of the days that they come. I believe we're the only company in Cincinnati that gets 2 deliveries. We get deliveries for other smaller lumber companies that come in here from them, and then those companies will come and pick up the product from us. Because Cutter only has certain teammates in a given marketplace. So we're the chosen one in this greater Cincinnati market that does a fair amount of business with them. And we appreciate the relationship.
You have poplar and prime material, right? But what if I want something cheaper?
Well, that's where we have prime pine that we've touched on, and we stock that. If you want something more cost effective, I mean,
MDF.
Okay, that's where I was going. Okay, good. So a lot of builders will put a cheaper product in.
Right.
And so when we're done, and the painter comes in and caulks it and paints it, it's already primed. Most homeowners can't tell a difference the day they move into a house.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Until it gets wet,
yes,
or until a vacuum cleaner hits it,
or until a picture drops off the wall and takes it.
So what product are we talking about?
MDF.
Yeah.
Of which,
So what is
which is
MDF?
MDF is essentially a glued up sawdust.
medium density fiberboard. And we stock none of it in moldings. So we have
None.
we have no MDF moldings in stock. So I just had a situation where a customer was doing a remodel in a house. He needed 3 sticks. I said, Benny, I can't get 3 sticks. 16-foot MDF. It was an older profile. Couldn't get it. So then what we do is, instead of the 3 pieces of base, he goes in and pulls the other piece of base off, and we replace it with 4 pieces of base, because that's a better job for the customer, and he can blend them. So, there has to be when you're dealing with older remodels, we run into a lot of concessions like that, where we have to go in a different direction, or sometimes instead of making the custom crown, it's easier to pull out the 60 feet and run 200 feet more, as opposed to having 140 feet of that made. So
the reason I was going there is not all engineered products are bad.
no.
Okay, but the sawdust trim. Okay, so what makes that different than the other manufactured replacements of long stick? Because let's be frank. Okay, the tariffs in Canada, a lot of our long lumber is coming from Canada, right? So it's expensive to get a 20-foot piece of stainable, or even 12-foot pieces of stain grade lumber, right? Especially pine.
Right.
So a lot of your suppliers are going to alternative products. So what is the big difference in installation and durability of these different trim products inside a house, and why are you going in the direction you're going?
To start, there's a huge difference between an interior product and an exterior product. We talk about Advantech. It's got an exterior glue holding the wood chips together. It's treated to be exterior, and there's several other products like that. Boral, LP SmartSide. There's a lot of exterior products that are made to be exterior, and they're trying to get away from wood rot and warpage and things of that nature. With MDF, it's essentially glued up sawdust. They use interior glue to make it, because theoretically it should never get wet. But realistically, there's flooding in basements. There's kids beating the heck out of baseboards and casings. You're moving furniture in and out of rooms, beating it up. And that product is not made to absorb getting hit by objects. The worst part is, if it gets hit or if it gets wet, it swells about 3 times the size that it initially is. So you have one flood, you're replacing all of the baseboard and casing below it.
And it's not just a flood, but sometimes the washer will overflow. And once that water hits the bottom of that board, it will wick it up in a heartbeat, and you might as well pitch it. And I've seen where it's wicked up so the bottom of your baseboard is fat and brown, and it doesn't wick it all the way up, but it sucks it up an inch into it, and it's just garbage. You can't touch it after that.
The one place people like to use it would be for crown mold. If you've got a room that's settled or an uneven ceiling, which with David Bauer Custom Homes you won't have. It's not considered a high quality product. We specifically don't stock a single molding in MDF because of that.